What was my biggest challenge during the presidential year? I would say, making membership and getting people to join the CBA and participate. It's always a challenge in a voluntary bar, and it was a challenge that year. But I think we did a good job of trying to get around the state and get people to join.
President in 2001, that was 9/11. So the biggest challenge was get all the different bar associations in Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey trying to deal with a crisis that nobody had anticipated. And the issue of how to deal with the law firms that have been damaged by 9/11, and of course all the victims and their families and the probates and the workers' comp. That was the biggest challenge.
I inherited a bar that needed to redefine and reinvest its focus on diversity and inclusion. The second challenge was that during my bar year, there began to be an attack on the rule of law. And we rose to the occasion and dealt with it. And I'm pleased that it's become a legacy of the bar.
I had the privilege of serving in the officer track of the Connecticut Bar Association through some really interesting years, not just for the Connecticut Bar Association, but also for the world at large. In 2020, much of the world as we knew it changed very drastically as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. And around the same time, the death of George Floyd shortly thereafter created a really significant amount of pressure on many organizations to think about their work in diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the advancement of racial equity and justice.
I lived in one of the outer counties in New London County. One of the challenges was time, and part of the time was traveling to the center of the state for the many meetings that we had at night.
I would say it was the unprecedented threat to the rule of law and the challenge to the court as a co-equal branch of government.
At the end of September of 2008, we had a really big crash in the economy of the United States, and the resultant problems within the state budget and the effect on IOLTA were very big challenges for the CBA and lawyers in general. We had gone from something like scores of millions of dollars in the IOLTA account to less than 7, and there were a lot of concerns about how the CBA was going to be able to continue to help people, and lawyers help people who needed either recoveries from the Client Security Fund or from for legal services. The branch worked really closely with us, and a lot of what we did during my year was resultant of work hand in hand with the branch. So on the one hand, the biggest challenge, on the other turned into the biggest accomplishment.
What was my biggest accomplishment during my presidential year? I got what I wanted to accomplish, and I think I at least got the foundation set up, was for Lawyers Concerned for Lawyers, because we had problems in the past with lawyers with alcohol or drugs and gambling, misusing the client's fund. And so we started to explore and look at what other other bar associations had done for supporting their lawyers. And we did. We got it set up so that now it's a really good process that lawyers can rely on to get help if they ask for it.
The biggest accomplishment during my presidential year was possibly the probate court reform, or something that's a bit more subtle, which is creating the legislative committee for the House of Delegates and Board of Governors. And so I looked at the example from the Estates and Probate section, where we had a legislative committee that vetted legislation in advance. I suggested that, had a lot of pushback, but was able to get it through.
It was setting up and having the Future of the Legal Profession Task Force, which Tim Fisher and Brad Saxton were the co-chairs. and they came out with a report. And every once in a while I look at that report, and that report has been very much on point about technology, about the internet, and about how firms can survive in this type of environment.
The first has to do with a collaboration the CBA had with the Connecticut Veterans Legal Center. And Margaret Middleton, the director of the CVLC, came to the bar and said, could we help in terms of funding the bar? Or it reached out to many of its members, principally the larger firms. And we were fortunate, although not surprised, we were fortunate in securing a very substantial sum of donations to the Connecticut Veterans Legal Center.
The access to justice involving the judicial branch, the Connecticut legislature, the governor's office, and most importantly, the Bar Association in developing guidelines to create a mechanism for increased funding for legal aid and providing more people with access to justice.
One of my significant focuses was access to justice, and that was particularly important because of the impact of COVID-19 on our court systems and on the increase in civil legal needs. And so the creation and expansion of many new access to justice initiatives, including the Legal Aid and Indigent or Public Defense Committee, the creation of a Director of Access to Justice position, and the expansion of many of CBA's pro bono programs was something I was particularly proud of.
I was president from 2023 to 2024, and I was the first Hispanic president, or the first Hispanic to run the Connecticut Bar Association.
I was the president of the Connecticut Bar Association in 2019 until 2020. As you may recognize, that was the year we had the COVID-19 epidemic. One of the biggest accomplishments that year was forming the COVID-19 task force and also forming the State of the Legal Profession Task Force, as well as the Policing Task Force, all which helped with addressing issues the bar was facing during that time period.
First, if you have an opportunity to be a leader in the Connecticut Bar Association, do it. It will be one of the most rewarding experiences of your life. Second, dream big about how you can support and promote the rule of law, the delivery of legal services to all, and the legal profession. 3, know that the people around you will support and help you. They want to ensure your success. And 4, always be grateful for the people who surround you and for the opportunity that you have.
I think it's an African proverb, men plan, God laughs. Despite what you may have for an agenda, for a plan of what you want to do as the bar president, you need to be flexible and nimble and understand that things that are planned are not necessarily those that are able to be accomplished, and that you need to deal with the reality of the hand that's dealt to you.
Have contact with your membership. I think it's important that you learn what the members really require, what they need. I think small firms, sole practitioners can use a lot of advice. I think the bar make their past members and leaders accessible to new attorneys, I think is a very important part of the Bar Association.
Be involved, listen, and use the support that's around you. The people I've met through the Bar Association over the years have been wonderful resources, but also great friends over the years. And if there's one thing, when you have questions, reach out. I feel like we've got a group of people that are dedicated to the CBA, but also to the greater Connecticut community that want to help.
My advice is that you are stepping into a bar association that, as of this year, is 150 years old. So remember that legacy, look back at the successes of the past, and let them guide your hand in the future.
I joined the CBA because I viewed it as a privilege. I was thrilled to be a member of the bar and admitted to the bar, and I didn't consider for one moment what benefits I would get when I joined the CBA. I believed it was an honor to be a member of the CBA as well as the ABA.
I personally always think that we have an obligation as lawyers to support the profession, and I'm proud to be a lawyer, and so being a member of the Bar Association is my way of supporting the profession.
My advice to future bar leaders is to stay true and laser focused on your association's mission and stand against the hyper-politicization of basic civil and human rights. As a nonpartisan organization, consistent with the purposes stated in the Connecticut Bar Association's Constitution, the CBA's mission is to foster a collaborative community that creates opportunities for growth and development in the practice of law, advocates for Connecticut's attorneys and legal professionals, promotes community service and civic education and engagement, advances equitable access to justice, including the provision of pro bono legal services, protects democracy and upholds the rule of law, and ensures diversity, equity, and inclusion within the bar and the bench.
I have been a member of the CBA for all my 55 years at the bar, and I can say with absolute certainty that it has greatly enriched and enhanced my career as a lawyer. The organized bar in general, and the CBA in particular, provides the attorney with an opportunity to learn and improve one's legal skills, to develop rewarding friendships with other lawyers, to develop and grow one's practice, to enhance one's professionalism, to assume leadership roles, and to simply enjoy the company and camaraderie of other lawyers.
You know, when I became a lawyer in Connecticut in 1993, everybody joined the CBA. It was just something that we did, and I never regretted it. In fact, the CBA has impacted my career more than I ever would have expected.
I think it's had an extraordinarily good impact. I would have been much less aware of the profession as a whole. I would not have met so many wonderful people that lawyers, judges, people I never would have come in contact, particularly in different fields of the law.
As I mentioned, I took great joy in engaging in activities that were both legal as well as social with other members of the bar, and that's why I'm back here 30 years later.
The CBA taught me how to be a lawyer, first and foremost, by engaging with other members, by engaging in, at the time, committees, engaging in the training and talking to the people who were training us. I mean, it taught me a lot. Being a member taught me a lot.
My goal was to create a new look for the CBA, which required fiscal health and the implementation of an all-new membership program, increased membership benefits, and a multi-year strategic plan for increasing our membership and meeting the membership's needs.
My involvement in the Connecticut Bar Association has allowed me to make personal and professional connections throughout the state and open new opportunities to serve our communities and protect the rule of law. For example, at the end of my term as CBA president, Governor Lamont appointed me to co-chair the statewide Hate Crimes Advisory Council with Judge Douglas Levine, where we work to prevent and fight hate crimes occurring in our state.
We worked with the communications team. We redesigned our website, put more information, easy to navigate, talked about upcoming events, had video integration in there, highlighted great work from our health and wellness committee, and stressed connections with fellow colleagues and getting out there and being active both in our CLE educational programs and our many social programs that we put out.
I think the biggest way that it's impacted my career is that I was able to step out of my public defender bubble and see various other areas of law, solo practitioners, family practitioners, elder law, probate. So I attended a number of conferences and meetings for different organizations to see that they had some of the same similar issues that we had, and that our communities, and especially our impoverished communities, are facing the same dilemmas that they were as public defender clients, in that access to justice was still a bar in all aspects of the law. I was able to reach out to different communities. I now volunteer my time for the unhoused and feeding the impoverished as a regular weekly thing that I do as part of my SEVA, which is service to others.
Being a CBA member permitted me to form relationships I would not otherwise have formed in the course of my career, and gave me access to resources that have helped me day in and day out in the practice.